Boxing on DAZN, sponsored by William Hill.
Back live here at the Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we might have just seen the new clubhouse leader for Fight of the Year, a 154-pound classic between Serhii Bohachuk and Vergil Ortiz. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights. The moment of the night, it's the entire fight. How could it not be?
Absolutely. You know, the round starts off with Bohachuk landing a right hand at the equilibrium, knocking Ortiz off balance right there. And they went to the replay and, you know, reversed that. At first it was a slip. Called it a knockdown, 10-8 rounds. And right here, Vergil, man, just landing some great overhand rights, finishing with the uppercut. Man, Vergil couldn't miss with that overhand right. And then Bohachuk, just the fact of him taking that shot right here, you have the second knockdown. And man, you know, the fans definitely got their money's worth today.
Just non-stop brutality from bell to bell.
And, you know, for me, man, what stood out for me was just the will of Vergil to continue digging deep and continue to apply pressure. And I think it was so impressive how he made the adjustments in the last 4 rounds and began to box and set traps and hurt Bohachuk a few times by setting the traps.
Interim super welterweight champion of the world from Grand Prairie, Texas.
And that's the crowning moment for Vergil Ortiz Jr., now the WBC's interim world champion at 154 pounds. And we're back here ringside, Corey Erdman and Gabe Rosado. That was a pleasure to watch, an honor to call. And I think, Gabe, this is one of those fights, and this is something that you demonstrated throughout your career, where both fighters' stock go up because you earn the adoration of the fans with that kind of brutality, win or lose.
No, for sure. You know, Bohachuk is now a fan-friendly fighter. The fans are going to want to see him again. I want to see Bohachuk again. You know, the man, he's not a loser today. He fought a great fight. Like I said, the fight could have easily went his way.
Yeah, and such an interesting way that this fight turned out as well. Usually when you talk about fight of the year contenders, the blueprint, generally speaking, is 2 volume punchers going face-to-face and going at it.
Yeah.
It's not often that you get 2 punchers of this caliber going toe-to-toe, because usually you can't withstand that kind of power. They did for 12 rounds.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's based on them knowing each other and understanding what they're facing. I think, you know, Bohachuk, the fact that he was able to take those shots, it really comes down to him preparing himself mentally and understanding how dangerous Vergil is. And when you prepare yourself mentally that you're going to take those shots, you're not going down, that's what happens. You know, he didn't go down, and he showed heart, and the fans love to see a warrior.
Yeah, and we discussed kind of how familiarity would play into this fight, and maybe that was a thing too. You know, like the mental preparation being one thing, but also knowing one another's patterns and the ability to brace for those shots, as hard as they might be. If you kind of know what's coming, you could take it a little bit better.
Absolutely, and the way Vergil started the fight, the pace was so fast, where then Bohachuk made the adjustment and then started making Vergil pay, but then Vergil made the adjustment and began to box. So these guys, you know, it's just world-class fighting at its best.
Well, let's talk about what this all means, because we've kind of shoved aside what we were talking about coming into that fight and what Turkey Al-Sheikh was dangling out there, that being a showdown between Ortiz and Crawford. I'll pose the question to you. Given what we saw out of Crawford last week against Madrimov, and people may be asking the question of whether Crawford is kind of bumping his head on the ceiling of what he can do weight-wise. Then, with what we saw out of Ortiz having to go through hell to win this fight, what do you think about that clash?
Man, I think that's a great fight. It's a great matchup because, you know, Vergil now knows what it is to go 10 rounds. So Vergil, with the IQ that he has, is going to be able to go back to the gym and work on things that, you know, he now has the experience. Because one thing that Vergil was doing, he's used to pressuring you, throwing big shots, and you're out of there. But Bohachuk, he wasn't out of there, so now Vergil understands, oh, I can box, I can set traps, and that's what he did in the last 4 rounds. And that right there is a big factor going into a fight with Crawford.
Whatever's next, we cannot wait to see it. If it looks anything like that, put it on our screens. A fantastic night of fights from here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the big fights just keep on coming here on DAZN. On August 24th, the legends run it back as Floyd Mayweather takes on John Gotti III in Mexico. Dublin is the place to be on Saturday, August 31st for a thrilling night of crossover boxing. On September 14th, Canelo is set to defend his super middleweight title against Edgar Berlanga in Las Vegas. And finally, Riyadh season card Wembley Stadium edition is heading to London for a huge September showdown as Anthony Joshua faces Daniel Dubois. That's a wrap on a great night of boxing here on DAZN. For Gabe Rosado, Beto Duran, and the rest of our Fight Night crew, I'm Corey Erdman saying good night from Las Vegas, Nevada.